Hey everybody, it's me, Steve Schneet, the CD Junkie. On this episode of CD Junkie, I'm just going to be going through a couple random piles of CDs. See, about maybe this time last year, I had a hard drive crash, lost a lot of music, but at least I still have the CDs. So over time, I've been realizing what CDs I need to reload into the system because not everything was lost. It was just like half of the music I had on file, but just randomly taken from different parts of the alphabet. So as I discover things, I pull them off the shelf, and then before I put them back up on the shelf, I'll just go ahead and share you the stuff I've been listening to or uploading into my iTunes. We're going to start with, I've got a stack of Sweet here. I also have a box set for their later albums, but I don't have that handy here. But it gets really confusing sometimes. Of course, here's the albums here. And you'll notice here and here, I've got two different versions of the albums, two different sets of bonus tracks. Same with this one as well. Two different versions, two separate sets of bonus tracks. Some of the bonus tracks are the same, but sometimes it gets complicated and I have to go, double check things. And so I just figure I'll just load it all in there and I'll sort it out later. Anyway, here's a new thing that I wanted to share. Actually, a couple new things. There's a band called Forensics, and this is Tim Finn and Eddie Rayner from Split Enz, along with Phil Manzanera is in there, and Noel Crombie from Split Enz is in there. And this is a brand new album that came out in Australia. Tim's voice isn't as great as it used to be. It's really kind of scratchy, and he can't hit the high notes, but it's still Tim Finn, and a very unique voice, very unique singer. Here's something else that Tim Finn put out, a CD with Phil Manzanera, and this you can get through Phil Manzanera's website. And of course, Phil and Roxy Music are touring, doing a 50th reunion tour in 2022. So later this year, you'll be able to see that. Here is the brand new Colin Hay. Fine album. Colin, of course, from Men at Work. I'm a big fan of the Mr. Rogers collections that Omnivore has put out. These are really fantastic collections. The way that I put it, musically, if you really listen to it, there's a lot of jazz in there. It's like Vince Guaraldi stripped down, maybe made more accessible. And then, of course, with Fred Rogers singing on top of it. I grew up with Fred Rogers. I think these are like later recordings, but some of the songs I grew up with and loved. Here's a couple. Johnny Mathis, Forfers. They're 2 CD sets with 4 albums each. Actually, here, I'll show you that way here. And then the group Pilot. Well, actually, David Payton went in and re-recorded the Pilot songs, and he did it all himself and put out this, and he sells that through his website. I think it's David Payton Music. Here's a new release from Area 251 Records. And that's the Wheel label, and they have a singles collection that just came out. Pretty much everything on the Area 251 records all fit in the Ski Lodge type thing. Speaking of Ski Lodge, here is the 4 King Cousins. Not exactly what you think of, but here's a bunch of unreleased recordings. They're all monaural. Sounds like they may have been recorded for the King Family TV special. But there's a whole bunch of 60s and 70s hits. Of course, I'm a big Moody Blues fan, and I was bummed that a lot of my Moody Blues didn't survive the crash, so I've been reloading them into my system. So there's the final 3, I think, that I just loaded in. And I also just happened to load in all the Justin Hayward solo albums there. Now, here's something that came out quite a while ago. It's called Easy Rock, and it's a 2 CD compilation of soft rock hits. Basically, nearly everything on here is what you can now consider yacht rock. So definitely check that out. Lots of great material on there. A lot of this I had separately, but it's always fun to get these types of compilations. Here's another CD, my favorite album of 2018, and I had to reload that into my system, but that's Danny Wilkerson's album. It's just called Wilkerson. If you're looking for great pop music, that's definitely it. I got my hands on this, Andy Williams' Greatest Love Classics. It's not what you expect. It's actually love songs put to the melodies of classical music. And this is the only Andy Williams album that I didn't own. I own everything else. And that's a lot of CDs. Anyone into like art rock and prog rock and stuff may be familiar with a gentleman by the name of Peter Blegvad. Here are 2 albums by Peter Blegvad. In fact, this album here was produced by Andy Partridge from XTC. This has my favorite Peter Blegvad song, which is called Pretty You, Ugly I. Here is a 3 CD Dolly Parton comp. Everybody loves Dolly, and this 3 CDs spans her entire career. The Real Dolly Parton is the name of this, and you can get this online for super cheap. And they are the original recordings. Reloaded all my Blue Nile stuff. This is the expanded 2 CD edition of their final studio album, High. Anybody into the band True West, which were really one of the very first Americana yacht rock groups out there, and there is a 3 CD compilation that contains all their original albums and unreleased material as well. 2 REM albums. I'm a big fan of the first 4, and this is the 3rd and 4th. I've already got the first 2 reloaded into my system. This one I think is probably the one I'm least excited about out of the first 4, but the first 2 and Life's Rich Pageant are probably my favorite 3 REM albums. And then I'm a big fan of the ska revival back in the late 70s and early 80s. And of course that turned me on to the old ska, the original stuff. And I'm not a big, huge reggae fan, although I do have some reggae things. But ska and blue beat and lovers rock and stuff, basically from the late 60s, early 70s, that's the stuff I love. And here's some stuff I had to reload in my system. This is a 2 CD set containing 4 compilations from the Treasure Isle label. This is a 2 CD The Best of Dandy Livingston compilation. This is a 2 CD collection of Trojan mod ska recordings. This is a 2 CD collection by Desmond Decker, all the classics and more. This is a 2 CD collection featuring 4 albums by Lee Scratch Perry and the Upsetters. I know that I should be showing you the tracks on these, but most people aren't going to really care. They'll just go online and take a look at them. But here is the Scotalites 2 CD collection. The Chosen Few, 3 albums on 2 CDs. Here is a 2 CD Trojan Reggae Classics, 1968 to 74. And finally, one of my favorites. This is called Reggae Strings. And what this is back in the, I guess, late 60s, early 70s, they'd be releasing these singles that were licensed from Trojan. And then what they would do is they would take the vocals off and they'd add strings to them. And those actually sold quite well. They put out a couple albums with that theme, taking off the vocals off of the recordings from Jamaica and adding strings to them. This actually contains both albums, but it's a 2 CD set. And what they do, as I'll show you the back of this, they also feature the original vocal singles that were coming out. Anyway, that is it. I've tons of stuff that I'm either putting away or reloading, and I can make videos all day about it, but I'm not going to. But I appreciate you hanging out for a little while. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, to ring that bell for future notifications. And until the next time, remember me, I'm Steve Schnee, the CD Junkie.